Hello Galactic family, my name is a friend. From my heart to your heart, from my consciousness to your consciousness, from my essence to your essence, receive all gratitude for your presence. I intervene in the midst of this density in which you, my brothers and sisters, live, because I have also traveled the path of the incarnation, the path that leads and led me at the time to live the revelation of my own unlimited consciousness. Today, in this humanity, several of you discover a new consciousness. This consciousness is not in words. This consciousness is not in the emotions. This consciousness is not in conceptions, in beliefs. It is above all consciousness/vibration, vibratory consciousness. The awakening of humanity today, for those who feel touched, is above all a vibratory mechanism. It is then a vibrating awakening that should lead the self to discover its unexplored spaces in the midst of the unified worlds, amid the unified dimensions, quite different from what most of you have experienced so far. The awakening of consciousness to this unlimited state is a vibratory mechanism. Therefore, for those of you, here and elsewhere, having followed, having practiced different kinds of works on consciousness and on vibrations, which is by celestial marriages, which is what I myself have transmitted for a short time, with respect to heavenly yoga, or other ways, today, the consciousness of the light comes to you. It does not come only in spirit. It does not come only in the midst of its awakened lamps, its radiant crowns, its sacred triangles, but from very few days, the light begins to reveal itself, to be unveiled. Some of you perceive the vibrations and, above all, by your senses, the manifestations. The white veil that appears and disappears in their living spaces, behind their eyes, increasing the vibration of their own consciousness in their own lamps, marks the eruption of the light amid the illusion of this world. As you know, the period called deconstruction by the Archangelic Conclave reaches its end. It is the end of this deconstruction that allows them, individually but also collectively, to live or deny unlimited consciousness. As the angels of the Lord place their feet upon the earth, the moment the fire of the heavens touches the fire of the earth and in which the fire of the earth awakens, their inner fire awakens, baptizing them by water of the mystery in the midst of unlimited consciousness. Unlimited awareness, vibration. Vibration exists in the midst of its own physical structure, which is the witness and guarantee of the authenticity of its experience and its access. In various teachings, this world was called Maya, illusion. Many human beings then accepted this concept without living the essence. Today, you, brothers and sisters present in this humanity, you live, not the concept, but the vibration and the essence, which is nothing but experience. For this goes far beyond the world of beliefs and convictions to penetrate fully into world of truth. Various archangels and various interveners, whether by this channel or by other means, have long spoken to them, sustained, about the relationship between the worlds of the duality and the worlds of oneness. Some of you have had access to these unity worlds in the midst of your state body of being. We strive, the set of Melchizedek, to favor their access to the area of unified consciousness, their access to unification, to unlimited. We take care that the maximum of human consciousness can have access, in vibratory level, to this space of life promised for a long time and that, today, is in the period of updating. This period of actualization and manifestation, which signals the end of this illusory dimension that you have traveled with your feet and with your consciousness, is now in the process of being installed. The vibrations of your own world change. Various modifications in their respective and collective environments are transformed. You have under your eyes, You have under your media, you have for your own consciousness, some very real and concrete information about what happens today. Some impulses existing in the midst of their limited consciousness lead us to live this openness to the unlimited. This switch of consciousness, so called by Sri Aurobindo, begins to take place in the midst of collective consciousness. That is what you are witnessing, and this is what you will witness, more and more, in your terrestrial time, which you will be able to count from now on, not from months to years. My intervention today is to call your consciousness precisely on this fact, that the manifestations of unitary consciousness experience in the midst of your own consciousness, in the midst of your familiar environment, with struggles that translate for you, for hesitations, for questionings, and finally, I hope, by common sense choices, now, to live and to be lived progressively for all humanity. Obviously, and as they know it, as they have experienced it, the resistances to humanity's change are the elements that will produce the manifestations, perhaps unpleasant, in the eyes of limited consciousness. Then, everything will depend on the point of view, because, as you know, what the caterpillar calls death, the butterfly calls birth, and here his rebirth takes place in the midst of unlimited spheres. The moment of release is there. Only the vibration of your consciousness can give you access to the unlimited. No belief, no faith, alone, will be enough to take you to the worlds of the unlimited. There is no curb except yourself. There is no curb to stand before the beauty and grace of light that is revealed in your world. There are only inner resistances that come simply and solely from your own fears. Fear is the main break of ascension to unlimited consciousness, from ascension to eternal joy, because the anguish of death is well inscribed in the human being. But understand well that what dies, and what will die, is nothing more than illusion, the ephemeral. Only the eternal, only the infinite, only beauty will remain. You will take root in you and only in you, the forces and the conscience necessary to live in serenity and lucidity. What is there now? All solutions, without exception, are within the boundless consciousness that knocks at your door. What has been announced from time immemorial, that this is in your Bible, as in the teachings of Vedanta, as elsewhere, as everywhere, I would say, is now. Resisting light in relation to fear is truly the only obstacle. There is no other. There is no karma to sustain it. There are no social relationships that support it. There is no professional, effective, family activity that stands up to the majesty of the light. For you, brothers and sisters, to decide what you want, what you can and what you can. Retain well that only the vibration of your heart, that only the vibration of your consciousness within the heart, will allow you to escape, inwardly and outwardly, to the illusion of the destruction of this world. The Unitarian light cannot coexist in this world. Remember the words of Christ: you are in this world, but you are not of this world. This will become greatly enhanced and intensified, as it is already for some of you, in control of who you are, not in the midst of this world, but in the bosom of truth. The doors open to you. Will you accept or not get out of prison? Every question is there. All insight of the consciousness must return to this precise point. Do you wish to remain in the illusion or wish to go, leaving all that is illusion, to the worlds of oneness and truth? Going to the singular is a great joy. Going into the illusion will be a great suffering. The light never punishes. The light sets you free and will set you free until the last moment of your breath in this world. They must be inscribed among the stars, inscribed in the midst of the movements of all galaxies. The moment of his awakening and his leaving this illusion has arrived. In a very few days, Archangel Michael himself will reveal to them how to approach, in the next 2 months, access to the unit, access to the state of being existence, but retain that, whatever the technique, whatever the most direct path to light and to unity is the vibration of the heart, the vibration of its essence and its capacity by vibration to go beyond the fears inscribed in the structures archaic of the human being, concerning fear. What comes is not death. What comes is resurrection, as was announced to them by Sri Aurobindo when he was Saint John in the Apocalypse. So, yes, rejoice. Do not dwell on what is destroyed in you and around you, because what opens and builds itself is a source of ineffable joy that you have never encountered before, in the midst of these worlds that run through. Yes, very soon, you will be called, individually and collectively, to live the light or turn your back to the light. Going to the light needs to drop all the masks, all the karmas, all the relationships that imprison them, everything that holds them in this world. It is not a question, therefore, of abandoning this world, but as far as possible, of being raised by its vibration, by its joy. If you take a step to the light will give you 100, because the times have come. Living the joy, living the eternity is possible today. Collectively, this will become truth and evidence. More and more the illusion will be destroyed, more and more the illusion will disappear, more and more the light will strengthen. It will strengthen in you by abandoning yourself to the light. This abandonment to the light is the supreme intelligence of life and consciousness. Miguel has subsequently named you star seeds. You are also called sons of the light, children of the law of the One, because you really come from the stars. You forgot it because you made them forget. You were seduced by illusion, like many. Today, if you wish it, in vibration, in unity, in consciousness, all this will disappear from your area of consciousness. The birth of the new dimension will give, for those who will integrate the unlimited consciousness, who will accept the light in their inner being, with ease and great joy, can find perhaps to this particular ecstasy that I will have occasion to help them to live, certainly, at the end of my speech. These spaces of inner joy that manifest, when you touch the infinite, when you touch the truth. In addition to the very perception of sensation, the state of consciousness produced by unity in you, you place yourself in this unspeakable joy of reconnection with yourself. To discover the unlimited is also to accept the limited, not acting against the limited, certainly not, but letting yourself be disaggregated by the force and grace of the unlimited in you, because, when you accept to become source and anchors of light, your life changes, the environment changes and the whole world changes. You have all contributed here, as elsewhere, in your own way, to the arrival of the light. This reinstates them, was programmed from a long time ago, from even their descent in the midst of the illusion. The Source comes to awaken in you this promise. The Divine Creator, Mary, comes to reveal in you her most important maternal filiation. That happens now. This is not tomorrow or later, it really is now. In fact, finding the unlimited requires adjusting as close to the vibration of the moment, the present moment, and moving away from all emotional and mental questions about tomorrow, which only makes sense when the limited is the only one to manifest, but that does not make any sense from the moment the unlimited knocks at your door. You certainly change the paradigm, you certainly change the dimension, but you change, first and foremost, consciousness. You find your unlimited consciousness from which you have been separated. It's no use wanting to know the historical pros and cons at the moment. Only, focusing on the present moment, in the midst of unlimited consciousness, is the answer to all questions, without exception. Because when you discover the unlimited and you stabilize in the unlimited, the personality ceases to exist. Nothing else exists except the light that you become. There is an identification with the source and everything becomes source in you. The source, whom you promised to remember your oath, the moment you left the world of the unlimited to walk the paths of limitation. Today, in the spaces of vibration that I communicate and, by its own vibration, we truly enter into the spheres of joy, of beauty, of what is called the samadhi, in this ecstasy that communes between the light and you, in which the distance between light and you rightly, no longer exists. You become coincidental with the light. You really become the light, and in the midst of this light there is no place for the shadow. There is no place for the doubts of the duality. If you leave the place to the light, the fear evaporates in itself. There is no need to fight against, there is simply to accept, to acquiesce to the light. It will make all the difference of the ways to the times that are there. Certain points of view are going to trigger, unfortunately for some, the suffering. An unlimited viewpoint, on the contrary, will see only light and no suffering. So then, the words of Christ find all resonance. May it be done to you according to your faith. Faith is understood here not as a system of beliefs, but, much more, as the vibrational capacity to vibrate in the heart and in the midst of the unified consciousness. May you be more and more numerous, dear brothers and sisters, to penetrate these spaces of the unlimited, where joy takes weight and suffering has no place. You are called to become your own vehicle of light, which some of you in your tradition call the Merkaba, which we call in another way in Vedanta, which you find in some writings in the Bhagavad Gita, for example called Vimana, which is the ability to travel in the vehicle of light. That is what is now with you and in you. Will you awaken this dimension of the state of being, of light, in the midst of your limited consciousness? Will you welcome this magnificent vehicle of light and ultimately become that vehicle of light? Only you who have the answer. Only you who have the possibility of realizing, by abandoning yourself to the true light, by abandoning yourself to the vibration of the unity light, what is now becoming day, that certain eyes perceive and that certain consciousness in the way of awakening live. To immerse yourself in the truth of light, for it is a balm that will come to put an end to all your illusions, to all your sufferings, to all your hesitations. This is what I could wish you, most beautiful and most sincere, for what you live now. So, dear brothers and sisters, I want to open with you a space for dialogues, related to what I have come to express. If it is possible to give you more important clarification, whether it be by words or by my vibration, I wish to do so. I really want to do it. Then I give you the floor. Continued. Question: in the practice of heavenly yoga, I am overcome by yawns that cease in the return phase. What does this mean? Dear sister, yawning corresponds to an interpenetration of different levels of consciousness. It is very logical, in this kind of exercise, as in others, to let out the tensions in the form of yawns. This translates, for many consciences, the transition from a state of consciousness to another state of consciousness. Question: what corresponds to the perception of a tube that enters over the head? Dear brother, there is indeed an addition, amidst the vibrational and light irradiance qualities that we have issued and that we release for you, that this is in the midst of the noble assembly of the Melchizedek, that this be in the midst of the archangelic conclave and, a much more recent way, as soon as you feel it, in the midst of the 12 stars of Mary. This is reflected in you by the perception of a new vibration impacting in the midst of Sahasrara and, for the more advanced of you, by the vibrations at the level of what is called the 12th. body at the level of the tip of the nose and the wings of the nose, translating the eruption and interpenetration of the light into your world. It is in this sense that Michael said that the fire of the sky had touched the fire of the earth. It is in this sense that the angels of the Lord set foot on the earth. It is in this sense that the light reveals itself in the midst of its world. The opening of this channel of communication, in relation to a very precise part of the Sahasrara chakra, which you call the 7th chakra, and through the 12th body, situated at the level of the tip of the nose and the wings of the nose, of new vibrations, are the mode of connection with what will be termed the announcement made by Mary. Question: I feel a vibration throughout the body and I become dizzy during meditation. Dear sister, there are a variety of vibrating manifestations following at the time of your meditation spaces. The whole competes to interpenetrate the unlimited consciousness with its limited consciousness, the consciousness of its body of personality with the state body of being of existence. There is really a vibratory setting occurring at the precise moment of your alignments, when you decide it, when you want it, allowing you to vibrate in you the unusual structures that correspond to the new structures, but also to the new potentials of your consciousness. All these manifestations, whether sonorous, vibratory, in the midst of their lamps, translate the ongoing reunification of what has been termed the triple fireplace, that is, the radiant crown of the heart, the radiant crown of the head in the sacred triangle level of your sacrum. It is this work of reunification that you will live, we expect you, more and more, during the 2 months that separate you from the Unitarian consciousness of July. These meetings, are inscribed on the agenda of heaven. You have responded present, each in your own way, to the impulsion of the light. It now remains to integrate the impulse of light into the midst of all its structures. It is what is in progress and is what you perceive in your moments of alignment. Question: would you accept disclosing your identity on the occasion of your last incarnation? Very soon. There is a need, for this, to live, at the collective level, some manifestations of the light that are underway. The very soon meaning may be a few days, a few more weeks. Simply know that I, as I have said, experienced the awakening to unlimited consciousness very young, and that, as a very demanding person, so to speak, I spent the rest of my life exploring this state and this passage. All my writings consisted precisely in speaking of this passage from limited consciousness to unlimited consciousness. As you guessed, my last incarnation was, of course, in India. I am certainly the consciousness, among all my Melchizedek brothers, who is perhaps the most, through the extensive study that I have conducted during my life, of being able to benefit, in addition to the heavenly yoga, by my radiation spaces, to bring the unity consciousness in all stillness. Question: in which unity consciousness is unlimited? I see a contradiction. Unitary consciousness is unlimited in the sense that you can freely explore and manifest your consciousness in the midst of all unified dimensions. There is, of course, a support, called the state body of being of existence, which is different according to its stellar origin, which is different according to its own evolutionary scheme. Being established in the middle of the state of being allows them to be unlimited and unitary. It is possible that you belong, in the midst of your state of being body, both to the 5th dimension for a higher dimension. There really is the ability to be unlimited and unitary at the same time. You can live the source consciousness and immerse yourself in the source, until you become the source. You have the possibility to explore the intermediate worlds, to change form and vibration at will, which is not your case when you are immobilized in the middle of a carbon-structured body. The unlimited cannot be conceived by the mental. It is, above all, an experience that is lived. There can only be contradiction if there is duality. In the midst of unity, the unified consciousness is in peace, it travels through all dimensions. There is no more barrier, no more imprisonment, there is the free, unified consciousness that is called in Vedanta, Satchidananda. The permanence of the supreme happiness is what one lives when you leave the duality. It must be understood, in relation to what comes, at the level of the revelation of light and the dissolution of its world, that there will be three ways of being and three ways of living. The first way will be at the level of emotion, and that, once again, I need you, whatever your ability to access unified worlds, living the world of emotion will direct you to reaction and then to the duality. It will lead you to try to preserve what you can, according to your limited consciousness. There will be the fear that will be omnipresent, since emotion is always based on fear, even if it is pleasure. The emotion is dualitarian, by essence. Next will come those who will have exceeded, in their mode of reaction, the world of emotion. They will react, therefore, to the level of what is called the mental world, which is also dual, calling for solutions related to very real problems that will disintegrate the mental and limited consciousness into good, into evil, into judgment of value. And on the other hand, there will be those who will be able to establish themselves in the midst of their unified and unlimited consciousness, to live in the state of being, and that they can continue to travel this world, as long as it exists in totality, maintaining this unified consciousness. In the midst of the unified consciousness, there is no longer any questioning. There is no doubt, because everything is evidence and everything is an answer. And all life remaining to live will be according to the principle of the abundance of light. What will not, of course, be absolutely not the case if you persist in living in the midst of the mental or in the midst of the emotion. Question: how does it happen when you find yourself bathed in the light? You become Satchidananda. You live what is called Mahasamadhi. Nothing more exists than that. Obviously, from the outside, there is a question, the question being to know what this light is. Why? You cannot know. You can only live. All else is just mental speculation away from the vibration of light. Question: entering into the world of the unlimited means abandoning your carbon body of incarnation? Not in the moment. In a very short time, yes. There can be no carbon body in the midst of unlimited worlds. Carbon, on the etymological plane, is coal. It's what's black. It is what is devoid of life and vibration. If you listen and if you read the testimony of several human beings having had temporary access to this famous light that is described without being able to stay there, they tell you, almost everyone, in any case for the great majority who accepted the principle and experience, that this light is love, that it is all, that it encompasses everything. Of course, when you stay on the level of words, you do not have experience. Today, we encourage you and we wish you to go to vibration. Light is vibration. The light that is not vibration, is not light. The light you see is not the light. The light becomes the light when it becomes vibration. Light is radiation, irradiation. It suffers transmutation in itself. It does not need the mental tool, nor the emotional tool. She simply has a desire to establish herself and to be. Question: what do you mean when you say, if you want it, if you wish? Beloved, there is in your world a law that prevails. This law was instituted, long ago, by those who deprived them of their access to the source. This law, which you have all accepted, in most traditional, religious, spiritual models, is called free will. In the unified and Unitarian worlds, there is no free will. There is simply freedom, which is, admit it, something else. So, in expressing myself today, in front of you, in relation to your desires, I clearly respect your free will and your absence of freedom. Question: what exists as a purification tool to cleanse and move forward? Dear brother, there are many. But today, there is one supreme thing, that is abandonment, repeating the words of Christ on the cross. The abandonment to the light is the guarantee and the ultimate purifying agent. As long as you want to act for yourselves to purify yourself, that is a praiseworthy approach, but it corresponds to duality, at will. Certainly, a will of good, but still a will anyway. In the midst of the unified worlds that interpenetrate today, the purification is done by the intelligence of the light. There is only, as I tell you, to let the light act in you. But the only there only reflects the resistances of the mental. Because when you say that, of course, and when I say it with you, it is to illustrate what the resistances of the mental in the midst of your world are. Remember also the words of the Christ: whosoever will save life shall lose it. He who desires to lose it shall be saved. What is a matter of loss, if not the personality? Not to want to destroy it, for this is also a proof of the ego, simply to let yourself be transcended by the light, if you give up and accept the light. Just as the Christ said, keep your house clean, for no one knows the hour or the moment. I can simply tell you that the time and the moment are there, in your time scale, not ours. Question: what is the fact of falling asleep during meditation? Dear sister, this is called an obliteration of consciousness. Some beings live the access to the state of being existence in this way. It's a kind of protection. A protection so that they do not immediately leave this body, so that they remain, as Michael said, because we need you in the midst of this matter. Certainly, now is the time to live, more and more consciously, the mechanisms of dimensional translation. But we need you, not us, but you need you, in the midst of this dimension, to anchor and further spread the light, so that an ever-increasing number of brothers and sisters rejoice in the hopes of the unlimited. Therefore, falling asleep is a protection of your own consciousness, aiming to maintain a certain form of integrity of this physical body that is still needed at the moment. Question: could you develop on the notion of ascension with the body? Dear brother, simply know that ascension will definitely happen with or without the body. There is no importance, since in the end, you lose this carbon structure anyway. Ascension with the body has only one purpose: it is to convey some important memorials to the unified worlds. And nothing else. The persistence of the body has no interest, because what you will discover, your body of being, is your true dwelling. The house that you are in today, this body that you have taken, is ephemeral. This, you all know, for you pass through the gates of death. The state body of being is eternal. It changes shape. It changes. You were deprived, he had been removed. Today he comes back. So, ultimately, ascension with the body refers to those who are to keep a body of carbon to the extreme limit of this world. They are to remain in the midst of the vicissitudes of ongoing tribulations, to allow for a memorial sustainability among the unified worlds. Question: is it possible that an incarnate consciousness seeks the light, but that its soul does not want? It could exist. However, I must remind you that in the midst of multiple universes, limited and dissociated consciousness will no longer exist. Definitely, the process that is called to live all humanity and this solar system, is, like it or not, a transformation towards an elevation. Simply, some consciences, some brothers and some sisters, will have the vibrant possibility of acceding to the unsuspected worlds for you, still today, and others will not have it. Again, there is no karmic barrier. The only barrier is linked to fear and then to the absence of vibration. Fear is what slows down vibration as well as mental, as well as the excitement. When there is no emotion, nor the mental, the vibration accelerates. Some of you experience it through a numbness, measure of protection, others live it by an alignment, by an activation of the radiant crown of the head or heart, by the sacred triangle or by the new vibrations penetrating by the Sahasrara chakra or manifesting in the level of the last two bodies, at the level of the lip and the nose. Again, the consciousness decides, at that moment, to conduct the body, literally and in the most initial sense, with the vibration, or on the contrary, not to lead the body with the vibration and to rediscover in the preoccupations attached to this illusion. When you discover and when you accept to live in unity vibration, in the midst of unlimited consciousness, in the midst of samadhi, you can make yours the phrases of the Christ who said, "Will the bird care what he is going to eat tomorrow?" Tomorrow is another time that is not yet enrolled in the unlimited. Tomorrow is part of the limitation. If you immerse yourselves in the midst of the unity light, in the midst of the triple radiation which has now been released to you, some of them for 25 years, and others for 2 years, you will be able to make that phrase, naming this, if you wish it, divine providence, grace. For when you are in abandonment to the light, under the intelligence of light, all that comes and manifests in your life is grace and no longer subject to the law of action/reaction, but only to the law of action of grace. The light will always ensure, when you accept it in you, that whatever happens and takes place in your life, go towards the light. So you do not have to fear neither tomorrow nor any lack to come. These will only resonate with the limited viewpoints, the points of view of fear, the emotional points of view, the mental points of view. Definitely the choice is simple: go for vibration or go for non-vibration. There will be no alternative. We have no further questions. We thank you. Dear brothers and sisters, my way of thanking you for having been attentive is to propose, from my heart to your heart, a space of communion in the midst of the vibration. It is my way to greet you and to welcome you, as you have welcomed me. Energy effusion, from my heart to your heart. I tell you until very soon.